Yeah, so right, they're gonna be having pizza. Yeah, I want some, but I'm $5 short. Let me see if Uncle Lou can can loan it to me. All right, peace. Uncle Lou. Now you know I never want to bother you. I'm gonna ask you for a favor. Can you please either lend me $5 or give me $5? Because they're having pizza and I'm $5 short. I prefer that you give it to me, but get to you, huh? If you can just lend it, that's fine. I'll give it back. Can you do it or not? Look here, look. Let me share something. Let me share something with you. You know, when we were growing up back in the day, you know, we used to do what we had to do in order to make it. You know, it's a different era back then than what it is now. You know, back then we was very, very creative, and you know we was out there in the projects, and we get some crushed ice, and we go to the supermarket and get some of that vanilla flavor. And sometimes we had strawberry flavor. We had different types of flavor, and we pour that into the crushed ice. And we was out there in the projects making ices and selling them for like 10 cents, man. But yeah, very creative and just making ends meet the way we had to, doing what we got to do. You know, there's this artist by the name of Ralph Tresvant, and he has this song called "Do What I Gotta Do," and I think about how did he come up with that song, and he must have been in some type of situation where, you know, he was his back was against the wall, and he had to make some real good decisions. And he must have went from plan A, plan B, plan C, D, and then maybe he started getting past letters after the letter Z, and then he ended up going into numbers. So then it became like plan 1 and plan 2, and somewhere down the line within those numbers, he probably figured it out and said, you know, there's a decision that I gotta make. I gotta get rid of somebody, and I'm gonna have to do what I gotta do. Even though it's kind of hard and it might break somebody's heart. I don't want to see her cry or nothing, but I gotta. I don't want to see her cry or nothing, but you know, I got to do what I gotta do, and sometimes when you do what you gotta do, in spite of everything, it's gonna break somebody's heart, you know, and sometimes that's just necessary. And so what I think he found out is, I personally think the boy found out that it's necessary, and so he wrote the song, do what I gotta do, and it became a hit, and that's sometimes we get into these situations, you know, where we gotta make these very, very difficult decisions, and it might have to break somebody's heart. and you don't mean it, and you don't want to see her cry, but you know, you still got to do what you got to do. Otherwise, if you don't, then it's going to continue to be the same thing. And you know the old saying, same thing get the same thing, you know. But I think back and I reflect on back when I was a kid. Parents went out of town, and the house was left to a friend. Now the friend was broke, the friend didn't work, and the friend didn't have any money. And when you don't have no money, you can't buy nothing, because it takes money to buy something, right? I'm sure we would agree. That's pretty much what you're asking me money for, because it takes money to buy something. And I understand that's what you need, because that's just how it works. You know, one day when everything was free, somebody decided to start charging for stuff, and they probably started off with like coins and silver, and then later on it escalated to when paper was given, and suddenly they start using dollars, and then we got credit cards, and we got all this other stuff in order to spend money. Can you do it or not? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is when this individual was taking care of the house while my parents was gone and the individual was broke, the individual couldn't feed the fish. So what we had in the fish tank is we had goldfish, and then, you know, after the fish eats the goldfish, then there's no more goldfish. Somebody got to buy the goldfish. It takes money to buy goldfish. So all of that was gone. And then we had a silver dollar in the fish tank, and we had an Oscar. And because there was no more goldfish, and there was nobody with no money in order to feed, because there was nobody with no money in order to buy goldfish, the fish began to start starving. So later on, what began to happen is the Oscar began to get his lip eaten off by the silver dollar. So yeah, the silver dollar bit the Oscar's lip, and that's all due to not having goldfish. And it's a shame that it has to be that way, but that's what they decided. And even though fish are not people, but fish are able to make very conscious decisions, and that's pretty much what that one did when the silver dollar bit the Oscar's lip. He did what he had to do, and that's sometimes that's what we gotta do. You might have to bite somebody's lip. Every now and then you may have to bite somebody in the face in order to eat, because there's nobody providing the food if nobody has the money. And that's just how life goes. And I'm telling you this because I love you, and I'm just trying to give you a little bit of wisdom. You know, like I said, when back in the day, we had to do what we had to do, whether we had to make something. Sometimes we would make a vanilla bean shake for somebody, or even if it wasn't vanilla bean, it was some kind of bean, we would use just regular old bean in the can and just make a canned good bean shake. Whatever bean we got, just using the resources, right? And go take that and knock on some doors and sell it, or go knock on some doors and shine some shoes, or whatever we had to do in order to gather up some funds. That's just the era that I came from, and I know it's a lot different now, but that's just how it was back then. So that means yes, right? I didn't make no decision. Now, in your case, yeah, this generation is a little bit more spoiled. Y'all kind of get what you want, have it your way. That's why you asked me if I could give it to you, because this is more of a spoiled generation. Back then when I was growing up, we couldn't do that. How much you said? 5? Man, you know back in the day, you know how much $5 used to be? I remember back in the day you could get a full tank of gas for 50 cents. But things have changed, you know. Did you make your decision? I didn't give no answer. What up, man? He ain't gonna do it. Boy, this boy.